This video will cover the important notion of appearance and graphic styles. Let's start with a fresh new document. Let's pick a print one, A4 in landscape mode. Landscape because it's just easier and fit the screen for a screen record. And so here we are. So I resetted, if you follow the previous video, I resetted my print profile, so now I have exactly the same as you are. Just a warning, I'm using a custom workspace. You probably perhaps use the essential panels with libraries and perhaps exactly the resetted essential panels. I just did some rearrangement to have my layer panel, to have my swatches on top, to have my graphic styles there. So you can find also these graphic styles in your Windows menu. So every panels you have there. So appearance is really important, it's there. And usually I'm doing my setup like that. I'll leave open swatches, graphic styles, and layers because in this tutorial I will need a lot. And generally I'll leave the appearance in another row because sometimes I will need to drag and drop some aspect, some appearance in the graphic style. So I prefer to have that in two different rows and let this in a button mode, so that means I could have open in this row only one panel at the time, and I think that's easier for me. It's just my own preference. So here we are. Normally, if you follow my steps, you have the same workspace than me, and you can record your own workspace like me there. So here we are at the default one. So let's focus on the graphic style. So in the profile video, the second video, we already cover some stuff. So we already cover, so but just for summary for people just joining this video and not viewers, by default, the default graphic style, the first one in the graphic style panel is, if I'm just using the shortcuts to don't show the canvas but just the transparent checkboard, you can see there is a white background and a stroke with 1 pixel. So we can see that in the appearance panel. Even if we have some shortcuts there, so remember when you have an underline, that means you have a shortcut to open the stroke panel, to open the opacity panel, etc., etc., the shape, the transform. So it's contextual at what you have selected or unselected, so no selection, or if you have text. So just as a remember, you are here in context of the selection, you have some presets. But the appearance here is more about the appearance also of the selected object, and or layers or group, we'll see that later, and how to go deeper than a simple fill color, simple stroke. Just to let you know what it is exactly. So let me play a little bit. So I will click on this to have direct access to my swatches. I will say, let me put more point on the stroke. Let's perhaps say would be outside, etc., etc. So just to do something. But in this panel, and only in this panel, not on the shortcut there, you can click on this button there, or use the flyout menu, or we name that also the local menu of the panel, and you can add a new stroke, a new fill, and you can have a lot. You can duplicate, etc. And we will see later, it's sometimes important to uncheck this feature there, but we will cover that later and you'll see why. So I can add a new stroke here. So we can see anything because they're of the same color and the same size, but let's select the one below. It's exactly like a layer, so the stroke on top will cover the stroke below. So let's, for example, say it's a blue, so actually I can't see anything, but if I'm putting more info, it's possible to have that. I can use another one, and let's say this time I just want to have center, I want to have dashes, and perhaps smaller, and you'll see my point in a minute. And perhaps I would like also to say, okay, I don't want to have this, so not the same color, just for the purpose of having something visual, and not because it's beautiful. And I would like to put that on top, so that will cover, but perhaps I would like to offset. Remember, I have only one path, so a simple rectangle with 4 anchor points, and I have now one fill and 3 strokes. If you want, for example, now to alter and to offset the stroke, that's where, for example, fx will be handy, because in the fx you can add fx to the entire. If I don't select one properties, that will be applied to everything, but if I'm selecting just one line, for example, in the let me just find, because generally I use the French version and that's not the same order, so in the path section you can have offset path. And if you check the preview, you can see there, now I can have this offset. So it's still only one environment. I can also, if the box is still selected, I can also disable just temporarily and click it later. I can disable there. So be aware, it's a common mistake. Sometimes you click outside, it's not selected anymore, but Illustrator leaves the appearance active, but it's not linked. So if I'm changing something, that doesn't work. If I reselect, it will reselect the properties. So just be aware, it's a common mistake. So if something doesn't happen, it's certainly because you have nothing selected. And you can see if you have something selected with a simple, just looking at this corner, you have rectangle, and if you have no selection, it's no selection there. And it's no selection there in place of there. So just a simple check and you'll see what's happened. So here we are. So, and for example, just to show you the possibility, you can also use, for example, distort transform to transform and offset a little bit more. You can also convert to a shape, like, for example, a rounded rectangle. Let's say this one, I want this one will be relative and to have a cornice, etc., etc. You can have also several fill, like this one. Let's say another color, and let's say applying another effect. Let's say, for example, transform, let's say roughen or perhaps stylize, and scribble, easy one, and let's say preview. And preview is this one, so it will act like it was scribbled, like it's named. And let me just put that on top, and you can see how it affects the shape. And you can, of course, select some presets or just use the parameters to modify and to create your own. So that's what we name an appearance of an object. And by default, you can see there, if I'm opening the layer panels, you have this circle, and this is another really important notion, which is named targeting. And a lot of people make the confusion between targeting and selecting something. I will come back later on that one, but it's really important. So here you can see this is by default something really plain with a small gradient inside the circle and not there, for example. If I'm coming back, I'm deselecting, and I want to create a new content, you can see that it will come back to the default appearance, to the basic, we name that the basic appearance. And that's the reason why you need, if you don't want to reduce your next shape to the basic appearance because you want to keep this complex appearance, so we name basics and complex appearance, you need to uncheck this one. So let me deselect, let me reselect, it will load the properties, and now if I'm playing with another one, that will work in the same time. And just to come back to the analogy of the bones for your path, and for example, your strokes are the muscles, the skin, and your cloth, you can see there if I modify my path, it will modify also the appearance based on these properties, on this appearance. So it's really handy, but for example, if I want to apply the same or to just modify, to do some tests and to see the result on other kind of shapes, that would be complicated to see the real result. That's the reason why we have graphic styles. Graphic style is the way to store and sync appearance. The appearance you define for one shape could be stored as a graphic style and could be synced in others' appearance. How to create a graphic style? So you have several ways. So the first way, let's say, coming back on this one, my first one, no matter which instances, it's not an issue. You can grab the object and put this object there, and you will create by default a graphic style. Let's undo. You can also, with this shape selected, your reference, click on this button, and you will have a new one. Let me undo. With the Alt key, Option key on Mac and Alt on Windows, you can rename it. Let's say blah blah. And that's it. And then you can apply this same thing here. Okay, and you can see path blah blah blah. Selecting another one, path blah blah blah, etc. That could be also text. My text. That will be awful, but let's apply it. And with Alt key, you can apply this to my text. It's really awful because it's too small, etc., etc. But you can see it's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to have to record this appearance and to apply that to other appearance. As a reminder, we covered that really quickly in the video about the new document profile. You have libraries, so here, if you go on this legacy libraries for graphic styles, so this little icon, you have a lot of samples. So, for example, here you have 3D effect, you have, we will come to additive. Additive is a special one, so you have 2 additives. And, but you have a lot of effects, and you can see it's sometimes advanced, it's sometimes just for the reference. And you can see you can add a lot of fill and lot of object. And let's perhaps use this one that will be more useful to see, etc., etc. So if something is close of what you want, you can tweak this one, create your own now on this library, etc., etc. So that's it. That's how you can go deeper and understand more complex graphic style built by different other experts. So let's jump again on these 2 ones, and let's just add the same here. So let's now come back with the white foreground. So here we are. But you'll see really quickly when you want to change something. Let's say I want to change the blue of this selected reference. And I will move, for example, to this more blur, or perhaps this orange one. You can see there is, I told you, there is a link between the graphic style and the appearance. But you can see there, I don't have anymore the name, the path, and the name of a graphic style, because I'm just overriding the graphic style. So Illustrator by default deselect the graphic style and don't assume you want to update this one. So how to update your blah blah graphic style to sync this new style with the other one? It's pretty simple. You have this thumbnail there, but that could be also, like I told you, grabbing this one or this thumbnail. And if you grab this one, you can add this one. You can see you want to place there with the blue line where you want. But if you hold on the Option key on Mac or the Alt key, now you can override this one. And you can see that will replace everything. So we will use a lot for the map these properties of updating or, for example, our style or graphic style for the roads, etc. Because we will do a lot of tweaking, a lot of tests to just define the style of our maps. So that's really cool. And before building your graphic style, you need to be aware of one thing, which is really, really important. Even if it's more about appearance and graphic style, when you build a graphic style, it's better to use global color. And for example, there, it's not a global color. Let me show you what I mean. This color, if you double click on these swatches is just a simple reference. Let me just quickly show you that. Let's come back to the default, just undo everything and put here the color. So this one is just a color. Let's put another one there. And let's put on the top, in place of a white, a color. So in a gradient, I have this one. And let's use another color. Let's use, for example, the yellow there, and let's double click on it. When you open a swatch, you have some options, and one option is global. Global means reacting like a one color, and let me just showing you that. My color, let me showing you the options. So a regular swatch will react with the value of your swatch in CMYK, in RGB, or what you want. In place, a global color will react like one color, and you can change the tint of this color. You can fade a little bit, it's in percentage. You can come back and break the link to this global color by clicking there, but it's no more a link with your global color. So let's now come back on this one, and let's drag this global color here. So I have my global color, I have my non-global color just there. But that could be also strokes, that could be inside this, this complex appearance, that could be some text. What you can colorize in Illustrator could be a global color or a solid color, a process color, we name that, to be precise in English. So if you want now to change red, even if you have a preview checkbox, take a look. I will just reduce. So it will change this one because obviously I have it selected, but if I deselected, checking the preview, that won't happen at all. My color there applied here, and applied here, and applied here, like you can see. But if I try to modify now the process color with the preview button, you can see that will be really, really handy to change your mind later if you have this in your style. So my recommendation, of course, is when you have to pick a color, to build first your color and to have this global color, and the triangle means global color. Don't make the confusion between global color and process and Pantone colors or a spot color. Spot color have a little black dot inside. We don't want a spot color, we don't want to print with an extra ink, we just want the global color to be linked with all place where it's applied, and to react as one when we want to change the color later. So we will create some global color first, and then we will start to build based on this color the appearance. So again, let me use the Alt key and let's move there. So now, without having to change the style itself, if we want to change the color, we can just modify the process color without having to go inside one or several graphic styles using the same color. And that's the power of this one. So we will go in another video on one other complex topic about the graphic style now, only about the graphic style, and about the notion of targeting and selecting a component in your layers panel.